in addition to my role at Vizsla, I've also had the opportunity to be a shareholder and subsequently the chairman of TinOne Resources here. So Craig talked about buying projects that the downside's protected through resources. That's something that we've done here at TinOne, but we did it many years ago. We did it actually almost 5 years ago. TinOne, has been a bit of a labor of love, and it's been really just an idea of putting our personal money at work, to try to buy projects that were, out of the money that no one cared about, and consolidate really interesting assets into one company, and then find the right time to kind of take that forward into the market. And so basically this company started because of that bar chart on the right hand side of the screen there. Somehow we were sent this study that Rio Tinto did with MIT, and Craig and I looked at it on a pretty much a day like today, very rainy winter day, I remember that, and we said, well, why don't we start a tin company? And what do we know about tin? Well, not much. But who does? Maybe is Stu Smith. So we called our friend Stu, who's on the board of Vizsla, and it turns out that the area that Craig and Stu both grew up in New South Wales turned out to be a past producing pretty prolific tin area. So we went out, and I remember also a few weeks later digitally staking on a computer, however many hectares of ground that we got, and TinOne was off. And the reason why we like tin, and the price of tin at that point was about $17,000 a ton. Today, it's about $40,000 a ton. And why tin is important, and tin is important, and why Rio Tinto and MIT ranked it as the most impacted metal by new technology, is because everything that's electric needs to be soldered. And everything that's electric, it's increasing. The numbers are kind of steadily moving up. Tin is so important to all of that. And in addition to the demand rising, there's been a huge amount of supply being wiped out in places like Myanmar, smelter issues in places like Malaysia. And then you started to actually see the Twitter crowd pick up on that, and there's Tin Baron in the names and things like that. And so this has gone from kind of a hidden theme into something that's become a bit more mainstream. I think it's going to become far more mainstream, and we were lucky enough that 4 or 5 years ago we were consolidating this asset base here. So again, from $17,000 to $40,000 a ton, I suspect that it'll could go as high as $60,000 a ton in the coming year here. So what we did was we staked those projects, but we realized that we need, in order to kind of fulfill that investment criteria of having something that wasn't just pure exploration, that had a resource to underpin some value, we actually bought 2 projects out of Australian listed companies in Tasmania. Now, Tasmania is the best place to be in the tin business if you want to actually produce in a place that's you consider kind of has the Western standards of project ownership and licensing and things like that. It's also where one of the kind of the better known tin companies, Metals X, produces out of Renison. There's public companies there. There's also a lot of SOEs, Chinese groups that are producing tin in Tasmania. So we have 2 licenses there. Great Pyramid is a resource stage license. It has a 2012 resource. That if you were to look at that in copper grade, the resource is essentially about 0.8% copper there. So it's a good grade. It's limited only by drilling and exploration here. And what we've come to realize essentially is that the Great Pyramid resource is very limited, and there's a huge amount of growth for it. So 90% of the resource sits in front of the surface there, just down from surface. And all of the deeper holes ended in mineralization. So we think that there's a clear path here to expanding this resource. Our friend and colleague here, Stu Smith, is doing an excellent job driving that forward. He's hands-on, boots on the ground in Australia, working working at Great Pyramid and our other projects, moving that forward. And what he did actually was out of a favor was to get an IP survey done from a friend. When we had very little money in the bank there, and he uncovered this huge IP anomaly there that we believe could rapidly expand that resource. So there will be drilling opportunity for drill success here coming in Great Pyramid as we move forward. But we also have a project in Tasmania, somewhat nearby, called ABERFOYLE. And ABERFOYLE is actually a collection of probably I think there's over 24 old mines at Aberfoyle. It's a vein field essentially, and has some higher grade tin there. So Aberfoyle offers another opportunity, another suppose I guess you could call it a lottery ticket in exploration here, as well as underpinned by the value that we know there's already production in that area. So with those two assets and our pipeline of early stage exploration assets in Craig's hometown of Glen Innes and surrounding areas, we have a bona fide tin company here that I think will be quite interesting, not only to the market but also to other groups that are coming out of the woodwork here and being quite interested in tin, including private equity firms and SOEs. So why invest in TinOne? Our venture listing is coming up. It should be by the end of the year. We have a portfolio of these exciting assets, clear path to expansion. Exploration will kick off. We'll have steady news flow going into 2022. I expect the tin price to continue to rise, and I think a lot of the pundits out there do as well. But the real reason to invest is because it's cheap, and it's going to go higher. I mean, I just told you a good tin story and all that, but you just got to look at the shares outstanding, the cash on hand, and the EV. The EV is less than 10 million. The comparables are trading at 45 to 300 to a billion if you're talking about Alphamin. We priced this when we contemplated this deal a year ago. We priced this in the context of the market then. We weren't able to change that valuation. So we're priced in the context of a far lower tin price. The tin price has exploded higher. I think it'll continue to go, and we'll be listed soon.